Time for another Obsidian video, and this one is all about how to find your way through all of the notes that you have. So let's dive in. I've opened it up to this particular file about Houdini, and you can see that I put bio. Houdini was the best magician to ever magish. Things I've learned from him, straitjacket escape, hanging upside down, that kind of thing. And there are a couple of ways to navigate through the different notes and seeing how it all comes together and connects, because knowledge is all about making those connections. So how do you see how these ideas are connected with each other? And Obsidian has a different couple of ways to do that. And first, you can see that it links to the other documents that I mentioned here. So you can see that would be the title of Hanging Upside Down, that kind of thing. Over here on the left, through the file directory, you can see what file folder it's in. Under mentalism, under learning, under creators, I've put Houdini there. And you can kind of organize your thoughts this way, and these hyperlinks are the other way. And a third way is by opening up the links tab over here on the right hand side, and you can see that it's an author. Oh, there's a mention in the document handcuffs. There's a mention of Houdini. In my history project, there's a mention of Houdini. It says Houdini is awesome. Okay, great. Milk can escape. There's Houdini. So in the linked mentions section over here, you can see what other documents hyperlink back to this particular document. So collapsed view linked mentions, there are a total of 5, and there aren't any mentions in my database that use the word Houdini, but not as a link. So I can kind of show you what that looks like. So we'll say random note here, and then say Houdini was a great showman. And you can see that Houdini is not linked to my Houdini document over here. But now if I go back to my Houdini document, you might see it. There it is. Okay. So linked mentions still 5, and now there's one unlinked mention. So this is really cool because it shows you that you don't have to be quite so diligent in creating links, because Obsidian is smart enough to know this word shows up in other documents, even if you haven't linked them in the hyperlink way or by using tags, right? So this is another way of seeing how these ideas and words and projects can all connect with each other. But still, this isn't a bird's eye view of how all these ideas connect. And that's what I want to show you with graph view. Graph view is what it's called, but I think of it as map view, but I will use graph view so I won't confuse anybody that's watching this. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see Open Graph View. It's this little kind of weird connection icon over here on the left. So Open Graph View. And here is what you see. Since this is my demo vault, I don't have a lot in here, but there's enough to see what I'm talking about. My actual personal vault, it looks ridiculous. It is just a big clump of connections and associations. But this is the standard view that you will see when you open this for the first time. And here you can see Houdini, and you click on it and you can drag it around, and then you can see the other articles, the other files that link to Houdini. So from Houdini, you can see Milk Can Escape, Straitjacket Escape, History Project, Hanging Upside Down, General Index, and Handcuffs are all connected to it. So now you can start to see Houdini is connected to handcuffs, which is connected to Amazing Demonstrations outline. So my what amazing demonstrations do I know how to do file, the Amazing Demonstrations outline, includes milk can escape and handcuffs. So now I can see that Amazing Demonstrations outline is one connection away from Houdini. If you think of it as the 6 degrees of connection with Kevin Bacon kind of idea. So this view, just as it is already really neat. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this is one of the most valuable things about Obsidian is being able to recognize these connections that you don't really know about until you look at this graph view. I'm not really in that camp. I pretty much understand how things connect when I'm connecting them, so there aren't really a lot of surprises or insights available. But this is really cool when I am trying to navigate through creating something and seeing, okay, what else am I missing? This view right here shows me what all I might be missing, and I might include something else that my brain just forgot about. So now let's dig into some of the advanced ways of making use of this. And this view really only works for you if you work the system. And by that, I mean creating those hyperlinks and using tags. So I will click away from this for a moment just to give you the context to appreciate what we're about to do in this graph view. So let's open up the milk can escape idea, and you can see that down here at the bottom, one of my templates is, I always like to add tags at the bottom, and this is where those hyperlinks go, and then I could say it's a stage effect. It is one of my favorites, and let's see, it's escapology, it's not dangerous. So these 3 tags are pretty good for this. So then I could go back to Houdini, and you can see over here that, okay, milk can escape, Houdini, and then there's the other tags there. But let's go back to the graph view. Nothing has changed yet because the milk can escape is still just connected to Amazing Demonstrations outline and Houdini. But now let's go to the upper left-hand corner, and filters is really where the party starts. So now orphans is enabled by default, and orphans means a note like magic effect note taking. It's not connected to any other note directly, so it is just adrift all by itself. It's a note orphan. So if you turn that off, notes that aren't connected to anything else are removed from this view. So now you can only see things that connect to other things instead of seeing things that have no connections. You can also tell this graph view, you know what, I want you to include all the tags that I have in my database. So when you enable tags to be visible, you can now see, okay, what stage effects do I know? Well, now it auto highlights milk can escape, handcuffs, bullet catch, hanging upside down. Okay, and what are my favorites? Well, that would be milk can escape, bullet catch, hanging upside down. What about the ones that are dangerous? Okay, hanging upside down is the dangerous one. So now you can see how the metadata around the information that you are creating, there are more and more powerful ways of visualizing the relationships between them. So now if I'm going, well, I need to figure out a big illusion. Well, those are handcuffs and hanging upside down. I can now start to see the way that things are connected, and hanging upside down falls into a favorite, stage, danger, illusion, daring, and TV promo. And now I can now see the relationships about the relationships, which is super cool. And then if you had a whole bunch of attachments, videos, images, whatever in your vault, you could enable that. We haven't gotten there, so none of those would be visible. Now, the groups is really cool. So if you are searching through and I want to see favorite, and now anything connected to favorite shows up. Now I can search and do a filter here, or I could just go to tags favorite. Oh, not tags plural, but tags singular. All right, so anything that is connected to favorite is here. Or I can filter all the way down by the favorite tag, and it will only show me direct connections. So when I'm doing these one-off searches and filtering of my database, well, what if I had some standard filters that I wanted to apply so that I can start to really see at a glance these kinds of relationships that I would like to know about all the time? So check this out. You can go to path, because over here is the pathways of these documents. And how about I want to separate out my mentalism from my projects? So anything in the mentalism path, I want it to be, let's say, green, because this is green and creative, and make it really obnoxious green. So now, if it's green, I know that it has to do with mentalism because all my mentalism stuff is green. Now, one thing, well, actually, let's add project, path, project. So now if it's in my life project, it would be this kind of yellow. Actually, let's do this obnoxious pink for it to show up a little better. There we go. So now I've got this one project, which is the history project, that is connected to a mentalism detail. So even at this zoomed out level, I'm beginning to see the ways that the different ideas and different parts of my life are starting to connect. And then I can zoom in and see, oh, the history project is directly connected to Houdini. Got it. So now you can create these different colorways that will show you different ways of thinking about this stuff. Now, one thing to be aware of is if you have a group of a big top level group like mentalism, and you wanted to create something maybe different for magic books, if I wanted to create a path that highlights magic books, well, if I tried to make it a different color, let's say we'll make it a bright blue, it doesn't show up as anything different because the top level group will take over any lower level groups that you have. So if you wanted to get this granular with it, make sure that you don't make a group for the big top level. So as soon as I get rid of mentalism, then you can see that, well, it doesn't look like it at the folder level, unless the right way to do wrong, bullet catch, magic books. Yeah, should work, maybe doesn't. Well, anyway, you get the idea. Let's do path and bullet catch. There. And now this blue is showing up. But I don't get too granular with it. I actually do usually keep it pretty high level there. So let's go back to that obnoxious green. All right. So this is a super valuable way of seeing how your ideas fit together. And then now that you've got them color coded and this kind of stuff, well, you can start tweaking by adding arrows. So now you can see that bullet catch is connected as favorite. And now you've got directionality of which ones are connected to which ones. So let me increase the node size so that you can see it a little more easily here, and then line thickness to beef that up a little bit. So for example, note 2 and note 1 are connected. And now that we've enabled the arrows, you can see that note 2 links to note 1, but note 1 does not link to note 2. So if I click on this node, it'll automatically open that file. So it says note 2, this is something completely different, but it might have something to do with note 1. So you can see that note 1 is linked. And if I click on the link of note 1, you can see that, well, there is no mention of note 2, but over here in the linked mentions, you can see that note 2 links to note 1. So this is a different way of seeing the same information that the graph shows you. And let me go back a little bit. So this graph is showing me exactly the same thing, that note 2 connects to note 1, but note 1 does not connect to note 2. And if I go to note 1 and say referenced in note 2, I can click to complete that. And now if we go back to that graph, where is it? Note 1, note 2. Now you can see that there's a two-way arrow between note 1 and note 2. So that's kind of cool to see which direction ideas are connected. And these arrows help you do that. And then the forces, that's pretty self-explanatory. How much do you want the notes to prefer being away from each other, or dial up the center force and it pulls them all together into a little bunch? So for your own sanity, you can figure out which force works well for you. And if you want to make it even stronger, you can make the repel force really, really strong. And the links, how close do you want each idea that's connected to each other to connect with the other ideas that connect with it? And how far apart do you want links to be by default? So now, with playing with those forces and those groups, you can start to identify what areas of your life and ideas connect with others and which ones are kind of off on their own, and the ways that they're connected. So then groups, you know what, I would like to add a path level group of templates, and then I would make those red so that I could ignore them. So red means those are templates and they don't really connect to other ideas, because those are just functional files that will be used to drop into the files I actually care about. So that way I can know red, I could ignore that. And you can also do a tag level, and let's do favorite and make that funky orange. So hopefully favorites, what is it? I don't know. That's what I get for doing this on the fly. I'm not seeing where it is. Okay, so it's there. So favorite, maybe I need to include the hashtag for favorite. I don't know. Anyway, you get the basic idea that you can create groups to visually break up your map and all that kind of stuff. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. You can see how the graph shows you the ways that ideas are connected, and you can find those pathways through those connections, so that if you are writing or creating a course or just making use of those insights, it'll be a lot easier to visualize the way that your topic flows through space into other areas that you might want to cover. But that's the basic introduction to graph view. This went much longer than I anticipated, which is pretty much every video that I make about Obsidian because it is so cool. But yeah, that is what I wanted to show you, and I look forward to connecting with you in future videos. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this or anything else that I make, and if you'd like to connect, I would love to hear from you. That's it for now. See you later.